Hey up. Another week, another Fulci film, and the second part of the Houses of Doom quadrilogy. How does this hold up to House of Clocks? Let's have a look, shall we? The Sweet House of Horrors is a 1989 Italian fantasy horror film, as you probably guessed, directed by Lucio Fluci, and it was shot within the same 4-week period that House of Clocks was shot in as well, and the set looks very similar. Now this shows a much tamer side to Fulci, which we've not really seen so far in this collection.
Not
Would have
even
been a
like
pleasure.
a criminal tenant.
Hey, it's gonna rain.
As I was saying, the contract is...
So the plot of this one's pretty straightforward. The parents of 2 kids are murdered, and the aunt and uncle move into the house to raise the kids. At some point they decide to sell the house, but weird things start happening, and the kids just aren't right. Now, something about this plot just didn't sit right with me, and I want to mention it here, so this is a little spoiler warning if you wanted to watch this film blindly, without knowing anything about the ins and outs of stuff, then you've been warned. So, the ghosts of the parents move back into the house, basically, and they trap the kids in the house with the idea that they love the kids and they want to raise them. Now, I don't like this, because they're basically ruining any chance of a normal life these kids could have had by trapping them in and ghosts raising them. And the film is on the side of the ghosts, I believe. It seems to be on their side, and it paints everybody else as an antagonist, when really, they're just trying to help out. The aunt and uncle are planning on selling the house, but they said that they're going to give all the money to the kids, and they also just want to raise them right, which seems like a noble thing to do. And everybody else who's involved, they are doing things for monetary gain, but they're just doing the jobs at the end of the day, and they do seem like they genuinely want to help out. I don't know, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, I guess. Stupid ghosts.
There is one reason why I always win all my battles. It is a weapon not everybody has. Most people have an absurd, infantile fear of ghosts, but I scorn them, and that is my secret weapon.
What's happening? This is fun. Oh, we're just hanging over home.
The acting and dubbing is fine for the most part. We get the odd line here and there that sounds a little bit weird, but it's all passable. That is, except for the kids, whose dubbing is absolutely ridiculous. It's clearly 2 adults voicing them, and they kind of steal the show whenever they're on screen, and they get all the best lines. The gore and visual effects are minimal. We get some nice bits of gore at the beginning, and a nice bit at the end, but that's it really. What we do get though is really well made, and it's a shame because I'd have liked to have seen a bit more of it. The film's shot really nicely, the sets are good, and there's also some quite interesting camera work in there too.
You mustn't cry. Uncle Carlo and Aunt Marcia aren't bad people. They're simply idiots.
It could make things worse. We've got to get a doctor.
Sausage is dying, sausage is dying, sausage is dying.
Mr. Colby, what's the matter?
My hand!
Here, let me take a look. Try to stand up.
My hand!
Come in here, quickly.
I do think this film is a little too tame for its own good. It tends to lean more towards the whimsical and away from the horror, which is a shame really, and I was checking out by the 45-minute mark, but luckily the end is quite good. Also, it reuses quite a bit of footage. There's like a big-ish section, and it's all surrounding the reveal of the killer, which is really early on in this, by the way. And it just comes across as cheap. But I mean, if you take into account that this was shot back-to-back with House of Clocks within 4 weeks, it kind of makes sense it being a little bit cheap. With how tame it is, though, it does make this film feel like a really strange inclusion into the Vipco collection. And I'm guessing they've only got it in here, one because it's Fulci, and two because it's part of the House of Doom quadrilogy. And I would not have given this an 18 certificate, that seems ridiculous. There's barely anything in it, just a little bit of gore at the beginning and at the end.
Sarah, I had a dream just now. There were two pretty little flames flying all around, like two butterflies.
You know, I did too. I knew it. I told Mark, but he didn't believe me. I did too. I knew you could hear us. Mama!
It was a long, hard trip for us to get here, baby.
But now that you're here, you've got to stay forever.
Don't go away anymore, Papa, please.
Let's take a look at the print. It's fine, really. Clear visuals, clear audio, and once again we get a really good soundtrack. And what do we get on the disc? Same as we always get on the disc. But in case you're new here, I'll fill you in. We get stills, filmographies, chapter select, and 4 repeated trailers. It's been a little while. Just fancied saying it again, really. Now let's take a look at the case. It's all fine, really. Gives the film a nice write-up, and there's no errors as far as I can see. And they are right that this film does feel like a fairy tale, although not really in a good way, in my opinion. Overall then, this was an interesting but disappointing set. It was fascinating seeing a tamer side to Fulci, but it did hinder the film and it made it really drag on. Also, that questionable plot is kind of off-putting. I would only recommend this to die-hard Fulci fans. If you're looking for anything Fulci to watch, you might get something out of this. Outside of that though, I wouldn't bother. And honestly, I preferred House of Clocks. If you were looking for an upgrade or a Blu-ray of this, I'm afraid you're out of luck. This is your lot in the UK. But honestly, the print was decent and it's probably worth picking up for cheap. So, not the worst, but not the best. And this is the end now of Fulci's efforts into the Houses of Doom quadrilogy. Let's see how Umberto Lenzi fares, because next episode we're going to be checking out The House of Lost Souls.